Hey, welcome everyone. Chris Petri here. Thanks so much for coming by. We're doing a beautiful composition here, a still life painting. We're going to incorporate a lot of fun, interesting items here. We're going to do a flower arrangement here and a mason jar, beautiful clear mason jar. We're going to add in a tomato, a green apple, lemon, and a lime, and a artist brush here, a watercolor artist brush. We're going to create this whole painting, beautiful tablecloth with some stripes on there for some colorful details to the table itself. And we're going to have a great time. We're going to do a little bit of a new format. We're going to actually put on the live setup that I have across from me in my studio. So if you can imagine, right across from me to my right, I have a table set up with the tablecloth and this whole still life here. What I'll do is we'll do the drawing first, then we'll switch over to the live camera on the still life. I'll leave that on for like 5 or 10 minutes. We'll come back, we'll do the painting, and then we'll go back to that live setup again, and you'll be able to paint from the actual live flowers with the fruit and vegetables and the paintbrush here, and you'll be able to actually do it along with me, but you'll also have the benefit of seeing a really good large picture of the actual setup. So I'm hoping this is going to be really helpful. And then toward the end of the video, I'm just going to leave the camera run for like a half an hour. So you'll have a whole half an hour of just having the still life setup on camera, and you'll be able to work from that too as well. You might just want to work from that the whole time and not really work along with my drawing and my painting. You might just want to watch what I'm kind of doing, working through my drawing and my painting, and then you'll go and do the same thing. You'll just have your setup right there on your camera, on your iPhone or your iPad or your TV, however you have your home computer, however you have your setup. I'm just trying to incorporate a new, interesting live kind of cam on the actual subject matter that we're doing, this beautiful, wonderful still life. So let's get started. Hope you'll enjoy this video. Again, lots of thumbs up and leave tons of comments in the comment section letting me know, is this video something you want to see more of? Do you like the way we did this video? Or you'd rather just have it the other way we normally do it, which is basically just working along without really showing the still life setup on camera. And this is exclusively for still life, obviously. So that's something I can do in my studio. I have a table and a spotlight, and I can set up these things very easily in my studio. I set up a new table and a spotlight and some other things, so it's easy for me to kind of do this type of video. So if you do like this format, let me know in the comment section. That's the main thing. I'm, again, always going to say I'm here to work for you, to help you get your watercolors looking better and better all the time. So if this is something that you feel is going to help to kind of help you to progress more with your still lifes, then let me know, and I definitely will do more like this, okay? More videos like this. All right, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to begin our still life painting. Pretty much we're using some Arteza paper. Sometimes I'll purchase some different paper. Usually I use Arches and Fabriano exclusively. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use some Arteza. Really nice watercolor paper. I've used it quite a few times. I have a couple of pads, and this is the 140 pound. 140 pound, 11 by 14 pad, Arteza. So again, that really nice paper. So I like to, maybe I'll put it in the comment section below if you wanted to pick up some Arteza paper. Really good paper, actually excellent paper. So let me start out by just making a border around my paper here, my sheet of Arteza rough watercolor paper. It's got a rough texture to it, not extremely rough, but definitely is a rough texture. And so once I have that border, I just draw a quick border around my paper just to kind of sort of, solidify in my mind that I have my border around my painting, my composition, and then from there I can start working on my drawing. So what I'll do is I'll start working on the drawing now from my still life, which is across from me, and I'm going to do something a little different now on this video. What I'll do is, after I draw the drawing of this still life, which is going to be flowers and a lemon, an apple, a tomato, and a lime with a paintbrush, an artist brush, really beautiful composition for still life. What I'll do is I'll put into the video the video camera. I'm going to take my video camera off of my gear. It's like I have an overhead gear set up. It's like a large metal frame that I put my camera on. So right now you're looking at my camera up above, which is straight up above me, and that's on a metal frame that I attach my camera to. So what I'll do is I'll take my camera that's up above here. I'm going to take my camera off, my video camera, and then put it on the table right here, and I'm going to look straight over across from me, and then I'm going to leave that on for like 5 minutes at a time so that you can see the actual still life, and you can work right from that. So I'm thinking this is really going to be productive. You're going to let me know in the comment section. Please let me know in the comment section how you like this. This is a little different than what I normally do, but I think it might be beneficial and really helpful, and you might really enjoy this type of setup where I actually take my video camera and then give you 5 and 10 minutes here and there of actual video camera live on my still life setup of my flowers and again the fruits and the setup that I have. Let me know in the comment section again below if you like this type of video that I'm doing here, this tutorial, if it works for you. If a lot of you like it, I'll start creating my still life paintings like this going forward. Okay, so I'll start off now. I'm just going to be looking across my art table right now. I'm looking across from me over to my right-hand side. I have my still life set up on a table with a spotlight on top of it. So you'll see that in just a few minutes. But what I'll do is I'll draw it first, and then I'll put it on for maybe 5 minutes. We'll put the live camera of the still life on camera, and then you can work from that. And then we'll come back and we'll start the painting, and then we'll do the painting, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll put the camera back on the still life so that you can paint from the actual still life. And then after that, we're going to actually leave the camera on the still life for another maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And this way you can actually work on your still life even further for the next 15 or 20 minutes beyond our tutorial. So you'll kind of see how I'm going to have a lot of live coverage of the actual still life setup across from me that I'm working from, so that you'll see that live on camera and you can work from that. And you might want to just work from that the whole way through. Maybe you watch this video one time through, then you come back and you just put your video, you put your YouTube, you hit play, and you use the actual still life live coverage of the still life as your to work from. So this way you're not really working from my painting or my drawing. You're going to actually draw and paint from that actual live setup that I have across from me. So let's see how it works out. But I'll just show you how I'm going to draw this. I'm going to do it in a more expeditious fashion. I'm not going to take a long time to draw this. I'm just going to try to get the main idea of this still life completed for you. So the first thing I'll notice is that I will ignore some of the shadows in the foreground of this still life. So just want to let you know that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out right now the location of the vase and flowers, and that's going to be right about here. I'm not going to, so it's about 3/4 of the way across the paper. I'm going to start my vase with flowers. Okay, and again, I'm not going to take too much time here. I'm just going to try to try to simplify and okay, it's the green apple there. Okay, so we have a green apple there. And then this here is that. And there's some leaf forms inside the mason jar. So we have a mason jar here. I'll just put some indications of some stems inside the mason jar and leaf forms. And I'm going to stick with doing the mason jar and the flowers with this apple right here, this bit of composition here. And I'm not going to get too fussy with everything. I'm going to kind of just give a loose indication of the flowers, the flower shapes, but I'm not going to get really bogged down with all incredible amounts of detail. I'm just going to sort of get this in loosely, like this, hoping that you'll see that I'm not getting too much detail. I want to just sort of get the main concept of what this is. It's a flower shapes in this mason jar. Okay, and then there's some other, there's some petals. So there's lots of flower petals in here. But I'm not going to really, I'm just going to draw some indications of some flower petals within this flower cluster here. And then I already have some of these leaf forms over here and here, so that's pretty good. And we could also do the, maybe I'll just do the wire like that. There's a wire handle on the jar, so I'll put that there. Okay, now that I have my mason jar completed with my flower and leaf forms and my green apple here, I'm just going to move right over, kind of take a look over here and notice that my lemon is over here. So I'm going to create my lemon shape here. Like that. And I'll put in a little shadow under here. Not too dramatic with the shadow. I'm going to try to keep my shadows a little bit diminished from what I'm seeing across from me. So always remember, there's some shadows too here under the flowers. I'm not going to, sometimes as an artist, you're going to take artist liberty to adjust as you go. Your shadows, you're adjusting things as you go, versus just not thinking about it. Think about things, say to yourself, ask yourself the question, do I want to make really long shadows here, or do I want to try to keep more of a minimal looking shadow pattern? And that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a minimal shadow pattern here. There is some shadows from the flower up above here, down here. So I will have some of that there. And then now the last thing we'll do, we'll have a few more things to complete here. Let's do our lime over here. So we have our lemon here. Now I might have made that lemon a little closer than what I'm seeing, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'll do the lime over here. I'll make that lime pretty big to try to give us a feeling of three-dimensional quality. So okay, and again the shadow, not too incredibly large with my shadow, just enough to have some shadowing underneath that lime. All right, so we have our lime, our lemon, our green apple, our red tomato, our mason jar with leaf forms, and our main flower shapes up here. And what we'll do is we'll take basically, you can use a ruler once in a while. I like to use a ruler once in a while. I'm just going to take this ruler and kind of give myself a background line. And I'm going to just leave it level, I think, across. I might leave it like, I might make it like here. You can kind of adjust. You can adjust the back of your table to where you would find it suits you best in your composition. I think I like that. Again, have fun with this. when you're doing your compositions, you're doing still lifes, if you're seeing, like when I put my still life that I actually have across from me, when I have that on camera, and you're going to see that in just a few minutes, adjust it accordingly. Adjust it the way you want to. Maybe you're just going to kind of really use what I'm doing right here as your basis, but at least you'll have like the real picture of it, of what I'm actually working from, so you can work from that same picture. Okay, so I did do a little something different here. And then we do have some tablecloth with patterns on it, so I'm going to go like this and make some lines on the... And then there's another line across here where the mason jar is, and then there's another line there, and another line here. It gets a little bit so you can kind of see how the lines angle a little bit this way, and then as they come across here, the tablecloth stripes kind of get a little more straight, and then by the time they're right here, they're almost straight. And this one here is like this, like that. Okay, so I think we have everything we really need for our drawing. Let's leave it like this. And I wouldn't draw anything in the background. I would just leave that whole background white paper, and you might want to add a little color to it maybe when we're working on this, but I would say leave the background just white paper. I wouldn't put lines, because there is some lines. I have white, you'll see in the video in just a second or two, you'll see that I have my white foam boards set up behind my still life. So I'm going to have white foam boards back behind my flowers and my fruits and vegetables. So when you see those foam boards, you can just leave it just white paper. You don't have to really worry about making any lines like vertical lines, anything like that. You would just leave that white paper and not get distracted by it too much. If you want to add something in there to suggest a line or two, well, that's fine too. That's up to you. Again, you're the artist. You're going to kind of create this still life the way you want to. But I just wanted to mention that, for me, I'm just going to leave it plain white paper and then have my still life set up here across. And I forgot one thing. I forgot my paintbrush. So here I'm going to actually draw my paintbrush here. So I hope you will do that too. And I'll just draw that off the paper like that. So I'll just leave it like this and go like that. So I'll draw that out of the picture, that paintbrush here that we have. Like that. Okay, good, perfect. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is cut over to the still life picture that you'll see on video, and I'll probably leave that up for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start painting. And then once we're done painting, we'll put up the still life picture again, and you can paint from that. So you're going to draw and paint from the actual live setup that I have right here in my studio. I'm hoping you'll like this. Again, you're going to give me a thumbs up. You're going to let me know in the comment section, hey, yeah, this is really good for still life painting. I like this a lot. Let's do this more. Or no, I don't like this too much. You let me know. Again, I'm always working for you, trying to help you in your watercolor journey. And I'm also getting better myself too by working. So we're all kind of benefiting from our work here, but I'm mostly concerned about your work and how things are working for you. So if you let me know if you like this type of new style of doing still life paintings with the actual live setup across from me, again, let me know. This is really important so that I don't, go off the beaten track and doing this often and you're not really happy with it. I want you to be happy with the videos, happy with my tutorials. So that's the main thing. I'm working for you, and let's get right into it. In just a second, you'll see the live setup, and then you won't hear me speaking at all. It'll just be quiet. Actually, I'm going to be in the studio behind me doing some other things, but I'll leave the camera live on that setup for you. Okay? All right. And then I'll come back after that, and we'll do the painting. We'll start getting our colors on our washes on the paper. Okay? Be right back. All right, let's have some fun. We're going to start painting. So you just saw the live still life setup in my studio across from me, across from my art table. I have it set up with spotlights on a table with some tablecloth. So you've worked from that. I'm hoping you did your drawing, your contour drawing, and your sketch from that video we just had up for the last 5 minutes. Now we're going to do the painting portion. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start getting my darks in. But I'll start definitely in the flower arrangement in the mason jar that we have set up. So I definitely want to start there because that's sort of the central area that we're most concerned about. That would be like the focal point, the main focal point of the painting. Of course, there is other focal points in this painting, but that one is pretty prominent. So we have sap green. I'll get my sap green going here. Maybe a little bit of raw sienna with that sap green. A little bit of olive green, sap green, raw sienna. Then maybe a little bit of French ultramarine blue for a little bit of a darker shadowy color. And let's get some of these leaf forms going here. All right, so I'll do that. I'll get my leaf form going here. And I just dip my brush in water. Then I take a little bit of water off the brush with a paper towel to get some feeling of light there. And then I'll go in and get a little bit more thick paint. And I'll maybe make a little bit of a darker bit of color there. So I'll make a shadow and then a lighter, brighter portion of this leaf here. So you can see I have the leaf a little bit brighter here, and then a little bit of the shadowing of that same leaf form over here, which is a little darker, which is out of the light. The light's coming from here. And then we'll come over here, we'll do some of these leaf forms here. These are a little darker, so let me go in and get a little more French ultramarine blue, and maybe a little bit of burnt umber there, and a little more green. So I'll just make a little bit of a darker green over here, like this. And then another bit of darker green there. All right, we are working really well here. And I'll put a couple of darker green leaf forms here in the top of the mason jar. And then we do have some stems. So there's some darker stems here. I'll just put them in while I'm working with the darks. These are dark stems, so I want to get those. Maybe I'll just start working them right in as we go. Like that. And then let's just work those greens and stems too down into the mason jar here. I'll take some water, rinse off my brush, dry off a little bit of the water. Maybe I'll get a little bit of the blue, cerulean blue. Put a couple of bits of cerulean blue in here. Keep it kind of cooler. The greens, a little bit lighter greens in there. And what I'll do is I'll change up from what I'm seeing, and I'm just going to try to get in these stems inside the mason jar. I'm just going to try to get those in like so. Like that. And again, I'm working kind of at a good pace. Let's get our green apple going here, which is going to be cadmium yellow lemon and some olive green. I think that looks pretty good for our green apple. And I'll put a highlight on my green apple right there. So I just left a little bit of paper there for a little bit of a highlight on the green apple. And then I'll go right in and get some raw umber and some cerulean blue mixture here. And I'll try to tie right in with my shadow right away, which is cerulean blue and raw umber, so that I have a little bit of a shadow going there, and it kind of blends right in to the bottom of the apple. Okay, that looks good. And next, I think I'm going to I think I still want to work on the flowers, and I think it's these stems have started to dry, so that's good. So we can start maybe working in our flower shapes. Now what I do for my flower shapes here is, because the flowers are white, I'm going to actually paint around them. We call that negative shape painting, where you paint around an object to make the object appear. So I'm going to just take a little more of these colors right here that we have and just start using those, because we've already used them before and they look good. And then I'll just start maybe making some background colors like that, and maybe some shadowing in here. So I'm going to kind of try to see if I can just get some, I'm seeing some shadows, maybe a little bit of cobalt blue. For some shadowing that I'm seeing. So I'm just going to try to and there's a little bit of a dark center of the flower. Maybe a little bit of ultramarine violet, which is purple. I'll use a little bit of the purple for some shadowing. I'll put some of that purple ultramarine violet too in the vase, like that. And here a little bit on the tablecloth, just so that I'm starting to think about, if I add a new color like the ultramarine violet, let me add it down here in the vase a little bit. Okay, and these are quite a bit in shadow over here. And then again, let's get some cerulean blue. And maybe we're going to go around some of these petal shapes, and then we'll just maybe take that cerulean blue and just sort of work that out a little bit into the background. And then I'll take a little more cerulean blue here and just try to mix that in with that green bit of green that we put there. And I'll maybe do a couple splashes. And it's up to you how you want to blend in your background shadowing and colors on your the background of your I guess I would call it the backstop, or the backsplash, or the background of your painting here. You can kind of do it the way you feel, but I am trying to do a little bit of I'm painting around the flower petals of this bouquet here in the mason jar, this bouquet of flowers. I'm painting around it, as you'll see, so that I can kind of sort of, negative shape paint around those flower petals so that we can see them a little better. And I can see that they're kind of gold. There's some gold in them. So I want to make sure I add some of that gold color. If I get too big of a puddle, I just lift it up with a tissue. But I do see quite a bit of gold there. And again, I'm not going too crazy with with my my painting and my details here. I'm just going to try to get some color in there, make it look believable that it's a bouquet of flowers. And I hope that looks good. I think it looks okay. And there's again a little more shadowing over here. Okay, and then I'll add a little more cerulean blue here. I just add a little bit of splashing there. And a few more spots here and there just to loosen up a little bit, keep myself like thinking, not getting too tight with what I'm doing and too fussing around too much. Okay, so I think that's good. I'll do one more. I think I'm gonna do the tomato. I'm just gonna go in and get some cadmium red and get that tomato started there. And a little bit of the purple. And a little bit of that purple will be over here to make this a little darker over here. Could also use a little bit of burnt umber just to get that a little darker. Then I'll take my brush, rinse it off, take a little bit of water off the brush on a tissue, and then I'll leave a highlight on top of the tomato right there. And the shadow side of the tomato is over here. On the right side, you'll see that's a little bit darker. And then I'll do some, again, raw sienna, cerulean blue, and I'll just get a shadow in there, like that. Just a little bit of an indication. All right, let's take a break, and then I'll continue to paint until we get everything pretty much in, looking good, and then we'll switch back over again to the video, and then you can start painting from the actual live setup again. Again, I hope you really like this video, the way we're doing it, and we'll continue on in just a second. I just want to take a quick break, and then we'll finish up our last few items here on our still life with our painting. And then we're going to go back to the video where you're seeing the live setup where you can start working and painting from that. Sort of, again, negative shape paint around those flower petals so that we can see them a little better. And I can see that they're kind of gold. There's some gold in them, so I want to make sure I add some of that gold color. If I get too big of a puddle, I just lift it up with a tissue. But I do see quite a bit of gold there. And again, I'm not going too crazy with my my painting and my details here. I'm just going to try to get some color in there, make it look believable that it's a bouquet of flowers. And I hope that looks good. I think it looks okay. And there's again a little more shadowing over here. Okay, and then I'll add a little more cerulean blue here. I just add a little bit of splashing there. And a few more spots here and there just to loosen up a little bit, keep myself like thinking, not getting too tight with what I'm doing and too fussing around too much. Okay, so I think that's good. I'll do one more. I think I'm gonna do the tomato. I'm just gonna go in and get some cadmium red and get that tomato started there. And a little bit of the purple. And a little bit of that purple will be over here to make this a little darker over here. Could also use a little bit of burnt umber just to get that a little darker. Then I'll take my brush, rinse it off, take a little bit of water off the brush on a tissue, and then I'll leave a highlight on top of the tomato right there. And the shadow side of the tomato is over here. On the right side, you'll see that's a little bit darker. And then I'll do some, again, raw sienna, cerulean blue, and I'll just get a shadow in there. Like that. Just a little bit of an indication. All right, let's take a break, and then I'll continue to paint until we get everything pretty much in, looking good, and then we'll switch back over again to the video, and then you can start painting from the actual live setup again. Again, I hope you really like this video, the way we're doing it, and we'll continue on in just a second. I just want to take a quick break, and then we'll finish up our last few items here on our still life with our painting. And then we're going to go back to the video where you're seeing the live setup where you can start working and painting from that. Okay, let's move right along here. Let's get our lemon in now. So our lemon, I'm going to use the cadmium lemon yellow. That I think is going to be the local color, which kind of means that's the color of the lemon. I'm going to put a light, a bit of light there, a spot of light. So that's the local color. And then to add shadow and light to it, we can always lift up a little bit of paint with a tissue on the top, like that. Then to add a little more shadow, we can add some yellow ochre underneath. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue, like this. Cerulean blue for some shadowing underneath. We'll put our shadow under there, like so. Okay, so now we have our lemon completed. Let's do our lime. So I'm going to use burnt umber, sap green, burnt umber, and French ultramarine blue. Plenty of sap green. Okay, and then I'll get our color here. That looks good, nice and dark. And I will add a light bit of light there. Okay. That's our lime, and I think I'll add some yellow ochre, cerulean blue, and we'll do a bit of a shadow there, like that. You can always rinse off your brush, dry off a little bit of the water. You can also get a little bit of a reflected light underneath it, like that. That looks good. And let's do one more. Let's do our paintbrush. And then for our paintbrush, I'm going to go with burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. And a little bit of the burnt sienna here, I think should be fine. A good dark. And then I'll just start out like this and go right across. Parallel stroke going across, nice and even, like that. Then I think I'm going to leave a little bit of a highlight on the brush there, here and there, not the whole way, like that. You see how I did that? I leave a little bit of couple highlights on there. Good. I'll let that dry now, the paint, for a few minutes while I work on the rest. I'll take a little bit of cobalt blue, and I'll put a little bit of a cool color there for the metal, ferrule, like that. Burnt umber, raw umber for the hairs of the brush. Maybe a little bit of a darker underneath, like that. We'll just let that paint kind of dry a little bit before we add a shadow, but I think we're coming along really good. We could get some stripes going here. And then maybe I'll go with a red stripe here. And there's a green stripe there. And then a blue. Let's do a blue stripe over here. That, and another green stripe here, so you don't have to get too worried about every detail, but let's get some. And then again another red stripe here, like that. And then one more, let's do a green, one more green one here, or blue, like that. Good. Good. So see how we got the basic. And then I'll just do a little bit of a shadow line along the back of the wall. With some cerulean blue and red. I just try to make it interesting. And I just use some of the colors that we've already used in the painting. Then I'll just sort of do a little bit of swirling of paint. Like this, just to kind of tie things together a little bit. That looks good. I maybe will like to just add a little bit of cobalt blue for a shadow under here. Maybe a little bit darker. So a bit of a darker shadow there. A little bit of purple. For the shadow underneath the flowers here. And a little bit of color for the vase. And then just a little bit of dark for the stem for this apple. And another little bit of just for that stem there. Okay, that's perfect. All right, so that is good. We're finished with our painting. Pretty much you can keep working on your painting. And again, I'll put back up the live still life setup across from us. I'll put that back up on the video now. And you can continue to paint and work on your painting from that. And then at that point, we'll come back one more time and just do maybe a few touch-ups. And then we'll put the video back on again. And we'll leave it on for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So if you want to do any touch-ups or maybe just do another composition, a small composition with a few items like an apple or a lemon or the lime, you can practice just a couple things just on their own to get the feel for those too if you want. It's all up to you. This is just a fun composition, fun exercise to keep practicing up on our skills as watercolor artists. So let's switch over to the other cam, where we're going to have the, again, the still life up live for about maybe 15-20 minutes.
hear the people shoot.